And welcome in here, everybody. We've got another Age Buddies cast. This time we are playing on Mired, and we've got Murderface here in the red, playing as the Chinese. And in the blue, we've got our ranked opponent, Gentle Foam, and they're playing as the Magyars. And Mired here, if you're not familiar, you start with a nomad start. You can see both of our players here are building their TCs. And I'm specifically watching 5 boars for each side of this center pond area, this marshy land. And you also start with a hunnock horse here. And the hunnock horse is really useful, one, for scouting, but two, it's used in the lame wars here. And the lame wars are specific to this map because of the boars in the center. It's a very standard map to try and take as many boars as you can, even from your opponent. So once these TCs go up, you're going to see both of the players go out. Now, Murderface is playing as the Chinese, and on the Chinese start, you start with no food in the bank, so you should get that loom, and you want to get food as soon as possible. But it looks like Murderface wants to go out and steal food from his opponent first. So we're going to see some idle time climb up. Maybe it's better to pull in a close vill or close boar first to start getting those vills working. You see they're actually up here working on gold, and gold is not useful in Dark Age. So with the Chinese, you start with a few vills. Oh, and blue did just lose a vill to a boar there. That's interesting. He did lose it because he's been blocking the boar steal from Murderface. Uh, did deny one, but the other one is still coming with. So right now, if all goes to Murderface's plan, we're going 6 boars here versus 4. And looks like a little bit of fighting here. Really good work here for Blue. Uh, Doing his best to click his horse to block the Vill to let it die to the boar. And that really is a deciding factor based on who's clicking the fastest. So if you're in this situation, you're trying to pull in your Vill, click faster than the Hunnic horse, and you will win out. But the lame wars are not over. We've got another Vill coming forward, and even Blue wants to go steal a boar back, is now just getting the loom for themselves. And I think Murderface just needs to go for the boars, not Vill fight here. Or bring your Hunnic horse here and use the Hunnic horse to block your enemy while you use your Vill to take more boars. But nice job there. Blue takes one back, so looking like it could be a 5v5. And now we've got Murderface taking 2, trying to keep the boar advantage. Now, the boar advantage is important on this map, but if you end up with only 3 boars, you can still get the job done with some aggression. And we'll see what happens to Murderface now. Garrisoning the TC to shoot the boars, getting them really close under the TC is nice. Keeping this guy closer to the TC would be nice if you just popped one Vill out to keep it close. Not the weak ones, but that's really hard micro to work on. And Blue bringing his 3rd boar in. That does leave 4 more out on the field here to take, and Murderface is going to take 2 more in. And I think Blue's going to walk out here to get another. So, again, another good reason to keep your Hunnic horse near the center, at least until all the boars are gone in this map, because we're going to see that one run away from us, and Murderface might be going out to get it now. Just going to take away that advantage, and all the idle time is building up here too. So that's kind of the downside to this. If you're doing all this laming, you've got all this food, it's now kind of rotting, and we're not even able to keep the TC producing. So something to work on there. It's really hard though. This map is difficult because of the APM requirements. So I would just focus on 2 things. Bring the Vills in, or boars in with a Vill, fight with the Hunnic horse, and if you've got the select TC button, just spam that Vill hotkey so you can get as many Vills as possible without losing that idle time. But it's still a close game here. Blue did lose that Vill earlier, and yeah, still neck and neck. Gonna be more food for Murderface here in the long run. And as that center fight is now over, this is a good time to start scouting around. And I think scouting around your opponent at this point is probably what you want to do with that horse. You can already see an area to expand to with gold and wood. and expansion later. But you want to go check out what your opponent has in store for you, and where you might be able to find some weak spots later in the game, right? But a nice start here for Murderface. Aside from the idle time there, I like that we won the boar fights. And then just getting those vills split up onto these boars would be the next thing. To minimize the decay rate, you want 2 villagers on each boar. It'll slow down how fast the decay goes. You can see this one has no villagers on it, and it is decaying pretty quickly there. You've got 1 villager here, and it's decaying ever so slightly. See, there's no vill on it now, and it's a much slower rate. And then, of course, these ones are just getting collected up by the vills. So you still lose some food on there. But for your efficiency in the res collected, that's what you want to do. We do have a good lead for res collected so far, so let's see how these players spend it. Now, I've played this map myself plenty of times, and specifically I've played this in tournaments, and I've always thought that going for high aggression works well, but I think honestly just going for a fast castle with all the food, and typically you've got some gold nearby too, wood, is the stronger play. And if you can get on stone for a castle, you can really secure a position. And what I would suggest doing too is try to find a nice spot to wall up and keep some safe eco going. Once these boars are gone, there's some hunt, and actually I wouldn't take hunt this early either for Murderface. There's some hunt, but then you'll want to transition to farms later. And this center area is kind of no longer useful, no longer important, and not something to worry about. Anyways, let's take a look here. So we've got the Chinese. The Chinese have a couple options. They can go for Chukanu if they wanted a FC unique unit, which is one option. The Chinese also, let's see, what else can they go for? They've got Fire Lancers. That's a really good unit right now. And then they've also got, I think, decent cav units, at least until late game. Late game, that definitely drops off. You lose out on the later technologies. But it looks like Murderface is going for a 19 pop up. And in the blue here, not the green, in the blue, Gentle Foam is going for 20 up, and is dropping a Barracks himself. Barracks is already up for Murderface, so I think we're going to see some feudal aggression here. And we are getting on gold now. I like getting on gold when you click up to Feudal Age, because it allows you to collect a little bit more. So you've got res for archers, or even if you're going for a fast castle build, that res can really help out there too. But we're going to go for archers, which is a good move. And I would expect the Magyar player here to go for a stable. It's just a natural thing for the Magyars. The Magyars actually get all of their upgrades on melee for free, so you could even go for men-at-arm drushes with that if the map were to allow it. So going for the range here for Murderface is nice. Dropping it instantly when he's up is really good for timing, and is going to start queuing. Now, I don't know. Where's his horse? Nope, that's Blue's horse. Not sure what his scouting looks like. Let's take a look. We're still not looking at our enemy's base. So whenever I play, I like to, and this is kind of map dependent as well, but a general rule that I play by is you start with your horse, you search around your TC to get any sheep, right? On this map, it would be using your horse or your scout to bring in as many boars, and then you want to scout your own area to get extra res later, where you might expand to. Just a quick once over. Sometimes you do that at the same time as finding all your sheep. And then you want to find your opponent and see what their map looks like and where they might have a weak spot. We did just lose our horse to our enemy's TC here, so that's going to hurt our scouting later. But from what we did see, we know he's going for a sable. We know he's got a lumber camp here, and we see his gold. So those are 3 pieces of information that are really important. If you see the stable and you know it's a Magyar's player, then you should start with some spears and defense. You've got plenty of food. Make sure we've got the wood for it too. And then you'll then be able to decide where you want to target. I would target the wood on this map. The wood is definitely a vulnerable area, and it looks like we might be headed that way too. Um, Blue's also gone out here for some hunt. This is a lot of inefficient eco that did a lot of walking, and I've done this before too because you want the food nearby, but just go for the close food, and if you're attacked, you can come in much closer, much earlier. I think we might. Oh, we don't actually know about any of this. If we see the dead animals, we could find out. But we see the mill there. That might distract us. And instead, I think coming over here to sit on the wood line is the smarter play. I think we had the horse come by over here. And now we do have our first spear out, which is a good move. You should have that with your most vulnerable eco, so it can be as close as possible to respond and react. Um, yeah, so now we're adding farms. We've got a wood line back here, which is interesting. And if you're putting the wood line back here, maybe you can eventually wall up over here. Let's see what we see. We see all of that, so that's some good scouting there. And I'm kind of uh confused here. We've got our archers here. We killed a pig. I like that. That's some good focus, good attention. But if you're sitting with your archers, you need to make sure they're on stand ground. And I would sit where you know there's vulnerable vills. Even just sitting here to prevent him from using that wood line is a good move there. Um, Now we're going to go look for some other vills exposed. I think he's expecting Blue to be hunting, which is exactly what Murderface is doing. I like this. You got to get the spear on the wood line. That's a good play. Maybe get the one out from under the TC. You can even sit him near the edge of your TC if you want to keep him nearby. But we're kind of running around. I think focusing on what you know is here is a good play. And if there are scouts around, you could always bring some scouts to fight with your archers here, and that's going to make them even deadlier than they would be. With enough scouts, you can actually take out archers. And we have Blue deciding to come forward with a range. We are focused with our archers back here, but our archers that are sitting here on their own are going to start shooting the vills, but these scouts are going to take out all of our archers, and now we've got a tower up on our face. So this is not how we want the game to go for us. Probably some panic setting in here. And I think you just have to move away from wherever the range, excuse me, wherever the the tower is affecting you, and back away from it. Getting the tower up is a good idea. Maybe keeping that just one tile back though, so you don't have it completely under. It'll help the vills building it from taking too much damage. But it's a good response, and it prevents the towers from continuing. And I like that you deleted the farm there. But we do need to find some extra spots for vills on gold. And now we've got those Magyar scouts in. They've got the attack already, and they're doing some damage. I think we've left our archers here running back and forth on patrol a little bit, or we're looking around. But pulling these spears is really going to be an important thing we do. And I think we tried to click them towards, and they walked back after finding nothing to attack. So one of those issues, you have to use a little bit of control for the micro there. I think we're going to win this tower war. We have fletching. Oh, no, we do not have fletching. Well, I kind of assumed we had fletching because of the blacksmith, but that's really going to hurt us. And our archers are going to be less effective because of that. And charging the tower like this is an idea, but you want to do it with more than just one villager. And if you're going to do it, you need to make sure there's no enemies around with their own military to defend. But this tower is going to go up, and that's going to take our tower down here. So let's just pause for a moment, because this game is very chaotic, right? The map itself lends it to be a very chaotic gameplay. And let's just try to take a look at the state of the game, okay? So we've got a second tower coming up. This second tower actually doesn't deny us anything. If we want, we could take the stuff over here. We could tower for defense. And honestly, the one thing we're really hurting on is the gold. So we do want that gold, but we have 790 of it in the bank and 800 wood. So if you want to go up to Castle Age here instead, which I'm assuming Murderface wants to do because of this market, putting the market in a safe spot that would also protect any raids in on your farming eco here is my suggestion. Or even blocking it up here so that you can turn this area, this little cubby, into your own area. And that's what those spears here are doing. And it will help negate the negative eco damages here, right? Because we've got what 5 + 2, 7 vills here for the blue player that are not working. That's going to hurt their long-term efficiency and res collected, and you could see that too. We've got a 2,000 res collected lead nearly. And all of his vills that are here are working on stone, or they will be stone up on the front. And there's even 2 here on stone and a very long wood camp collection. Um, Looks like some idols here for blue as well. The former hunters in the north, but you don't know about any of that. What I'm trying to point out there, though, is the person with this kind of aggression is going to have a worse economy behind this. And if the tower rush doesn't prevent you from continuing to play, then going up to Castle Age and coming out with superior army is a good move. Another option is to add a second range over here and to get more archers up, protect those archers with the spearmen, and then when you want to rush in to stop a new tower coming, you've got spears and archers to kill the vills, and you can even rush with your own vills then. I think we might have remembered about our archers here, so let's play again, see what happens. Again, knowing where the lumber camp is should tell you that this is where he's taking wood, and that's a target, right? And as long as you can sit near the lumber camp without being in the range of a town center, you can do damage, and he'd be lower on wood, which means it's a less chance he's going to be able to use that wood with towers. But it looks like blue has decided he wanted to tower rush and go straight into Castle Age. It's a nice plan, honestly. You're not putting too much more weight behind these towers. And getting this market up, which is what Murderface felt like he needed to do because of where he placed it, is going to hurt a little bit. Again, we can't be under this tower because of the other tower. So this is something we just have to let stay up. And we move our eco away, because this is just unnecessary loss of res here. Those spearmen should kind of be hanging out for the wood line if there's any scouts, if you're worried about that. And at the very least, if you're going to attack a tower, just put your villager or your military next to the tower so they can switch and kill anything that might be attacking the tower directly there. So we lose our TC. We decide to go up to Castle Age. That was a good decision. I support that. We sold wood for the gold we needed. We can get up to Castle Age and take it from there. For what I would do, I would go for a siege workshop if you want to take out those towers, and then still stick with a good plan, make some more archers, which we do not have. I think we're trying to get some more on gold, and that's what we've got sent down here. So a good job to find that. I think we might be bringing our archers home. Here they are. But the archers aren't going to be able to do too much here. Maybe they can sit on the outside and stop the opponent from taking the stone. And we do know about that lumber camp, or mining camp. So this is the right idea. This is what you should do earlier in the game with the lumber camp. And losing that horse really is unfortunate. You can't do any more scouting to find where the opponent might be running around. Especially on an open map like this, or a nomad start where res is not guaranteed. Having a scout to find where your opponent is taking res can be the key to success. Now we've got some knights coming in, and it's looking a little rough here. We're about to be in Castle Age ourselves, but the Chinese no longer get camels. So we need to make sure we've got our spearmen alive for this. And they all died to the tower. So I think Murderface sees the knight coming in, sees another knight here, and we're going to pull all of our vills back to the TC. It's a good decision. You need to minimize the losses there, but now we're running with our eco. I like this. Get a TC up, safe on the gold, safe on the wood. And then these vills here can eventually get moved over there, or just stay around the TC for farming. Fire Lancers, that's a good decision. Workshop, another good decision. Uh, and will really help bring this game back because we're kind of at a disadvantage in terms of map control, and the opponent is starting to catch up on res collected too because of all the inefficiencies our eco is suffering because of the aggression. And again, we don't know about anything else the opponent is doing, which further kind of hurts our position. We might feel like mentally we're relegated to this area of the map, and giving up that map control is really tough to come back from if you let it go on for too long. We've got our rocket cart in queue, which is a good move. Now that we see a mangonel coming forward, and we actually saw that workshop too from blue, we'll know we need to defend, and we are queuing up our vills into the TC. I think this is to keep them safe, or maybe we're forgetting those two there. But you don't want to rush in with these fire lancers under the under the fire of the tower. They need to stay alive to be able to take good fights against the knights, and the scorpion there is really going to help blue win that fight, especially if you've got a rocket cart coming out. That rocket cart is the perfect response to a mangonel on your face, and if we can get some good micro here, we might be able to take it out. It's a really awkward thing. This market is preventing us from taking that shot, though. Great reaction to try to repair that. It's a good move. I like the ability to focus on that. And now we've got a castle, but I wouldn't honestly panic on this castle. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna pause again. But this castle doesn't take away anything that the towers didn't already do. So if blue was to play this any better, blue would come over here and place the castle, and it would further squish us into the south side of the map. He would further corner us. Blue already knows that we're sitting here with our vills previously, and coming over here to drop a castle could be another option too. So kind of a good move for us that blue did not put the castle elsewhere. But a mangonel or a rocket cart cannot actually sit under two towers. And I think that's going to go down here pretty quickly, especially with the knights roaming. But we are getting more fire lancers in queue, and putting a new blacksmith over here, or excuse me, a new barracks over here would be a good addition and a good change, in my opinion. Trying to deny the castle is kind of fun, but I don't think you need to worry about it. You might lose more res trying to actually take it down with your fire lancers and your rocket cart than what the castle continues to deny. We've got a pretty good Vil lead though, and that's also with more idle TC time, at least up to this point in the game. But the castle goes up, we're losing more Vils. We need to delete these farms that are in the range, and you guys can see it. I've got a range mod to help me find out how far that'll shoot. It's really nice for learning that kind of thing. Eventually that will become a habit, and you'll know what to expect. Now we're abandoning everything, and I get that. You want to evacuate. We're getting a castle down to protect us here. If we're in this kind of position, you want to drop another TC to continue that res collection. I guess you don't need to. You can put some mill and lumber camp here to take more res around the castle. And then more military buildings. We know there's knights from the Magyars player. We know there's siege. So planning with our own siege and our own defense for the siege is the play. You see, this fire lancer is going to get some good value, but one isn't going to do enough, and only producing from one barracks is going to be a lot slower than what the opponent can do. And how many production buildings does the opponent have? Looks like they are still on one stable themselves. So if you added a second barracks there, you can outnumber his knights with fire lancers, and even 3 right there means he can't take this fight anymore. Finally, we see the TC go down, but we've already evacuated, which is fine. The castle was up because of this stone collection we had going here. And now we're seeing that issue. We've got the fire lancers coming from our 1 barracks, and we have to try to protect that barracks to continue producing our counter unit. but there's siege here, and we haven't been able to keep our siege alive to have for this situation. If you were able to keep the siege alive and you had the fire lancers to protect, or even earlier the spearmen, you could have upgraded to pikemen, and that'd be a good move. We do have a rocket cart here now. Good shot there, takes some damage, but behind all this aggression, Blue is adding a second TC, and we might see him catch up in Vills here much quicker than we would like. Even adds a monk to help with the fire lancers, so honestly a good play from Blue there. And the real killer there was the scorpions behind that fight. Weren't able to use our rocket cart effectively, and yeah, we're just in a really bad position. We had a really good start of the game, but not using the military we created earlier in Feudal Age allowed our opponent to get to Castle Age and then come over here and start pressuring us too. I guess they were already on their way up around the time that second tower was going to go up. And it really puts you in the back foot here. But another castle, another town center. This is okay, but we still need military, and adding 2 barracks would be better than adding another TC. Especially right now, you already have more Vills. I know it might not feel like it in the game, but if you're continually producing Vills, and your opponent is being very aggressive, then you might want to consider the fact that you've got that Vill lead. So here's our second barracks. Alright, I guess our only barracks now. 2 barracks would be really nice to help mitigate the spam of Cav. And then another siege workshop is going to be needed, especially with this one going down. We're going to try to get a shot off on those mangonel. Nope, I think we're going to try to run now, and we were spotted before that could happen. So something to work on here would just be some unit control. But I like the fighting spirit. There's a lot of work here. Monastery for the Cav is a good move. The monks are really hard to control at this elo though, so that might be a more advanced play to go for. I can't control monks. It's really difficult. It takes a lot of attention, and you need the APM to quickly select and convert. And monks do lose to scorpions fairly easily. These scorpions can be sent forward, and the knights can be pulled back, and a couple shots will take those monks down from a range. And it's extra investment to get those monks to have redemption. So the second barracks is a good decision. We've got our food eco going. We've got stone and gold, and a bunch of wood too. I like this a lot. Something you might want to consider too is just scouting the opponent and try to put some extra pressure. This third TC is a mistake. I think it's a reaction to the idea that you might be behind in score because you're behind in Vills. But this score difference is just the buildings destroyed by Blue. Blue has destroyed a lot of buildings, and that's going to add to the score more than the Vills would. Yeah, so I think that's why we're adding another town center. But instead of this wood spent on a town center, we need military to control the map. You could always consider a counter raid during one of these pushes. If you see so much military on the front pushing your face in, then you know the opponent is not going to have anything to protect from. And he might be able to garrison in the TC, but in certain cases you can get behind a wood line and do damage that way. Now we see the knights have looped around here. Something that could be fixed just by trying to wall in these little sections on this map. At least focus the opponent through where you've got castles and TCs to defend. But Blue now sees new targets, and he sees 2 castles. And I expect Blue is going to go for a castle here and click up to Imperial Age. Now the res collected is starting to... actually, it's still in favor for Murderface here. And we are now catching up on some eco upgrades too. So very interesting. I think it's a nice decision for Blue to switch into an eco focus, and all these farms are going to get them up to Castle Age very quick. This castle is needed to protect the TC because the knights can harass the TC, and the Vills would be stuck inside. So that's why I don't like the TC there either. Maybe even just put in another TC here, or I don't know. There's not really a good spot here. But he doesn't know about the castle, so he thinks he's going to be able to get in here. So a good response there. I like that. Now the castle's able to protect from this kind of forward castle drop on the face. Still, I think we're going to see blue click up to Imperial Age, and the castle's going to come here on the front. There it is. And I don't know how you stop this. You need siege with these fire lancers. We also don't have many upgrades. So if we look, the knights have +2/+2. We're missing our attack, and we have +1 on armor. And with the siege behind, I think blue actually wins this fight. I could be wrong, but those scorpions are going to be very deadly, and even some good mangonel shots that you might not expect. And look how quickly the fire lancers go down. Maybe it's just enough to block it though, and the conversion really did make a difference there. Well done to have the monks there, 2 conversions. And I am wrong, that's a good clear up. So a nice job to stop the castle in the face. But imagine if you had the military to stop the push here and were able to focus on keeping the boom alive behind. Again, instead of adding that 3rd TC, you add 20 more farms. And we have too many vills on wood, or gold, excuse me. Look at our res balance here. So the opponent is clicked up to imp, and they already have 600 gold in the bank with only 8 on gold, 25 on farms, and they're able to click up to imp again, even before imp is in. I think that speaks for itself in how you need to balance your res, right? Especially if we're going for a wood food unit like the Fire Lancer. This much on gold doesn't do anything except force us to buy from the market. And that's not a good strategy. You're going to drive the prices up later, and then if you're in trouble, the prices are not going to help you then. So something to consider there is just to focus on your eco balance. We have a lot on stone too, but that's for castles, and getting castles up for defense doesn't feel bad at all here. But getting all these vills on wood instead, and then booming between the 2 castles here, getting a bunch of farms down is the play. Instead, we want to put a castle forward, but we're not putting it forward on any eco. So this castle is effectively thrown away. And I'm trying to be nice about that, but that's how you should think about it. Not trying to criticize anyone, but it is kind of a waste to have that castle here. If you're going to put a castle down, you should try to do some damage to the eco. And if he had a castle at home, then that might prevent you from doing so. But you don't know. I don't think we've done any scouting since Feudal Age. All these farms are just Capture Age, so we don't know about it. And now that we see our opponent is in castle, we know that this is, or in Imperial Age, we know that this castle has effectively just become a target. But we're going to expand our eco, so I guess that's okay. Still, we're not dealing with the problem of military. I don't know, we still have a pretty good lead. We were able to spend all of our res to buy up to Imperial Age ourselves. So we're still fighting, and that's the energy you need to stay competitive and to climb. Kind of settled down now, but we've got to hold for 2 minutes until we're in Imperial Age, and we're gonna have some trebs on our face here soon. Actually, blue is blundering by not getting some trebs down early, and might actually just want another castle here, and is going to do that. I don't like that castle. You're putting it right under your opponent's castle, and this is the right energy you want. Just put some ranged units just out of range, and you can deny that castle from going up. But we don't have too many ranged units. Could be a good use. Jukanu would beat Magyar archers. I think they would do well against CA too. So something to consider. But now that that castle is going up, and we're gonna lose our expensive military. Oh, underneath it. I think too, if you're up to Imperial Age, just calming down and letting the castle go up because you can treb it down is the right play. And that's where you'll want to treb from, is right here between these 2 castles to keep it safe. You might even want a wall to prevent any raids from sniping those trebs. But I think we're going to continue to migrate our migrate our eco off to the left here. Again, too much on gold. It's really hard to balance, but now we're up to 40 on gold instead of 20. And we're just floating so much that we're not using. Meanwhile, we've got so much food float for our Magyar's player, and that's just much easier res to spend on military than buying with the gold and then spending it. So you're cutting out a step by having good food eco. Again, I know we've been pushed, so it's hard to keep food eco up, but it's certainly important. Now we're going for trebuchets. I don't believe Chinese get any bombard cannons. Yep, I'm correct there. So trebuchets are your only option here. You need to keep the castles up. So using the stone you have to repair this castle is going to be needed. But the Great Migration is continuing, and you can see the efficiency of our workers for the last minute over this migration is really poor. Also, we're putting our trebs out here, but we have no army to defend with. Instead, our army is sitting right here. So another thing to note there is just to have better control. If you're going to push in one area, all your armies should be there together. And I bet the trebs would stay up if you had your fire lancers here, and you would even be able to take up that castle and protect yourself. Because we need these castles to make the trebs, and now we're losing another treb. I think we'll lose a third treb too. Are now realizing about the fire lancers. It looks like blue wants to save his cav there. Good pullback there for the Chukanu. But we need to repair this castle, and now we are. You need like 6 to 8 minimum. Each treb, I think, you might need 4 vills to out repair one treb. Don't quote me on that. That's what I would initially say as a gut reaction. If you know, let me know in the comments, because I'd like to learn too. And that's what I do in these casts too. I do a lot of learning myself, so some of the advice, some of the tips, maybe don't take it to the bank, but it's certainly worth consideration. So we lose our castle here, which is really unfortunate. We needed that to keep the trebs protected. Now we're gonna lose our fire lancers for some trebs. This is a horrible trade. We're losing all of our military control, and we're only gonna take out 2 trebs. It's not gonna stop the push even. The opponent can get more trebs out, and it's much harder for us to get more military out because of our food issues. So I think from here the game is going to end. We're going to see a little bit of a speed up here because I think we're going to try a couple different things before we die. Going for knights is an interesting decision. I assume that's what you wanted with the stable there. Blue is kind of pulling a mistake here. He's giving you a lot of chances to get this game back. Loses a castle to the treb shot. I'm glad I didn't speed through that. So well done there. Good use of the trebs there, Murderface. But now we want to try to take out the trebs with our trebs. No military to protect those trebs. Fire Lancers is still a good unit here. We see Arbs, but we can make our own Chukanu. And those Chukanu would be able to do well against the Arbs, at least from what I understand. Maybe that's not entirely correct. But we need our military here. And I missed this, but we went for a counter raid with castles, which is actually really nice. The opponent doesn't notice this at all yet. And I would say this is one of your strengths here, Murderface. Being able to run away and expand your eco is half of the battle when you're getting pushed. But getting them to work on the correct resources is the other, while maintaining some production here. Now, blue does notice. Got, how many kills there? 11 kills with the castle. We're going to get another castle, get some more kills here. And I think we're bringing our trebs forward to start taking down the eco. But this is kind of a base trade situation. And a base trade situation isn't a long-term solution to win the game. It could work if your opponent doesn't respond correctly, but they added their own castle here to stop the push. They're going to start trebbing from that position, and in the end, they do have more military, so they're going to be able to do more damage to our eco than we could for them. Again, maybe earlier, checking out where the eco was expanded to for Murderface would have helped him identify points of weakness. Maybe he could have raided with those Fire Lancers that were sitting here for a while, or if you feel you can't fight these Fire Lancers because of the ARBs, going for a counter raid to disrupt, but at least refocus where the push is coming from. 4,000 difference in the score. I think that's a pretty accurate storyline there. But a lot of that score too is from this buildings destroyed, and yeah, I think this is gonna go for Gentle Foam here. Not without some good counter attacks here from Murderface though, so maybe I should wait to call it. We have not seen Gentle Foam stop the push from Murderface. Again, I could say the same is true, and we're now evacuating again. This time going into our opponent's base. And we are going for more ranges or stables here. I think we just don't know what to do versus these ARBs. And Chukanu is actually a good decision if you can mass them up. And that's what we're going for. Chukanu and Fire Lancer. It's a really good decision. And I think these counter raids are nice. But we need to stop this push. Imagine if we stop this push and our opponent would then have these castles, which don't do anything, barely any vills here, and only this front top eco, which you could then raid into because it's not protected by anything. So we might actually win this game still, to my surprisement. So, to my surprise, Murderface is doing a good job. We just have to kill this mass. And the ARBs here with some Fire Lancers in front and Chukanu could be the solution we're hoping for. Let's see how these Chukanu do versus the ARBs. A little bit of overkill there, but I think that's a decent trade. And I think we're missing some upgrades. Oh no! Oh, I've been forgetting about the upgrades this entire cast, so I can't be too harsh on you, Murderface. But upgrades is something that you should absolutely think about. Also, these stables are a very questionable decision. If you're low on food eco, then you should never consider stables. The stables all require food to produce any of the units that are in there. And if you wanted to Hussar raid, the state of the game does not actually allow for it right now. So these Trebs are really carrying blue here. And now blue is starting to expand his eco where you've left. So the base trade is full on. And we're dropping another castle, so this actually is doing a lot of damage. We might just raid our opponent to death before he can raid us to death. And now we're taking out the Trebs with our own Trebs. I really like that. But the ARBs are going to do a nice job cleaning up regardless. Who knows? We might actually see the opponent resign anyways if he loses these Trebs. But we need to keep all of our Chukanu alive. And now we only have one castle. So dropping some ranges for our own Arbalist as Chinese is a good decision. Especially if you can't use the castles for production. Maybe you want to keep the castles producing Trebs instead. And we are going to continue to run around. Continue to take new res in the map. But this massive Arbalist is nothing to stop it. What a game. Well done. This has been more of a game than I expected. I think some core issues that we're experiencing and is leading to the messiness of the game is just a lack of correct res distribution. So having the right amount of vills on wood, gold, and food, and then going for the unit choice here. Unfortunate to lose the rocket carts like that. Again, instead of the stables, maybe some siege workshops. But the Knights, the Cavalier are back for the Magyar player. And I think they're going to continue taking control of the map, preventing Murderface from taking more res. And instead of being trapped in this corner, we are now trapped in this corner as our push this way has stopped and our opponent has gotten his eco protected. He's in a similar spot, has too much on gold, not enough on wood, and is not turning any of that wood into farms. going for more barracks is a good decision for those cav. So I understand why you're doing that. But we still need something for those arbs. And siege is really difficult to get a good shot on. I would just match it with your own arbs with Chinese or Chukanu. Or just go for skirm. But again, there's no food for Murderface to go for skirm. So I'm not going to suggest that. A nice shot. Only getting one rocket cart to fire though. So we've still got a dangerous mass there. But this castle will protect our stone. And theoretically, we could start booming with farms around these two castles. We're just too low on wood. And we're spending it all on Fire Lancers. So, which is a wood gold unit. Some Chukanu left over here. But they can get cleaned up by the cav as well. What a game. Very glad to have picked this game to cast because I like Mired. It was a fun start, but it's evolved into a very fun game. I've been in this exact situation on Mired where I get pushed around the map, and just being able to settle down, rebalance your res, and produce the counters that you need is ultimately going to be the game changer here. I think we'll see blue come forward with some more trebs soon. Here's one, here's two, to try to push these castles. And the Fire Lancers will be good to protect from cav, but again, we need something for the ARP. So we're going to do a little bit of speed up here. Some random units here killing houses for Murderface. And Murderface going for another siege workshop. I'd like that decision too. But if you're being pushed, you need to make all of your production buildings where you have map control. So up here, I would put the siege workshops, the ranges, and then you could start producing and putting all of your military between your eco and your threat. We catch a nice trebuchet unprotected. And we are pushing again here. I think your opponent is making a lot of the same mistakes you're making, Murderface, which is why we're able to do this kind of circular chase. The circular base trade. But those mistakes we've been talking about, how to correct them, I think would give you a better footing to prevent the push and to hold the land. Looks like you're trying to take your former base back here, taking those trebs down. I don't think you actually noticed the eco. Oh, you do see the eco. Going for that town center's a better target. I haven't talked about this, but I think you've been producing villagers a little bit more. You can see that in the idle eco. Your opponent has been at 49 villagers for a while. So that's another bonus for you. And we've got our army fighting together here. We've got some Fire Lancers with rocket carts behind. The rocket carts should target the arbs, but the arbs did a good job to snipe. And this is actually an okay trade for you. The Fire Lancers are doing a good job. That might be the cleanup we've been hoping for. Still, we need something to finish it. And this rocket cart might be the solution. Fire Lancers can take down the treb. And the rocket cart does unfortunately get spotted by those arbs. Keeping the trebs here alive is a good decision, and getting a little bit too wildly with that treb is going to cost us. But the Fire Lancers are around, and I think Murderface is going to take this game. We've seen the cleanup I've been hoping for. It didn't happen as I expected, but that's where if your opponent has better APM, better micro, they pull back those arbs and they can kill all of those Fire Lancers. We are losing some trebs here, but we've got enough. And now we're going to put a castle down to stop the runaround for Murderface. And this is the kind of micro that is what you need if you're going up against Fire Lancers, pulling the cav around. But we are now instead focusing on those arbs. And again, more trebs getting lost here. Do some cav. I'm not sure where the vills are for this. I think they had to bail on that idea. This is a lot of vills. Again, it goes back to the eco part of it. getting farms around TCs is a better use of that bill count. But I understand wanting to throw some castles down. And I think we see that castle, so we can immediately treb it down. That's a mistake for your opponent, and will hopefully lead to you getting a castle there. This is an okay castle. I think you're expecting more eco behind there. So I'm not going to hate on that castle. It's not too bad. And good shot with the rocket carts, but... oh, and pullback, too. Good decision there. So that castle is going down as quick as it went up. We can't get to this castle yet. But I think those vills will have a new castle to build next. And I guess this is the pride and glory for blue is the south here. Maybe blue needs to build eco here as well. But everything in the north is now lost. And blue is actually starting to queue up vills again, which is a bad sign for us. Still, we've got the vill lead. And on this kind of fight, good control there. Trying to keep those rocket carts alive is a huge, huge decision. The monk there to heal the fire lancers is nice too. But if you're gonna run forward with fire lancers, you need the rocket carts there to help. You need those range attacks. Oh, I like that. Trying to get the trebuchets on the onager. It's just too slow. It's too easy to dodge. And this is difficult. One thing I might suggest is a 1 and 2 control group. So you put your main army on 1 and then your special army on 2. So if you're going to micro with an army, I put that on my second control group. And I put 1 in front and then I use 2 to control. And if my 1 army starts to go too far and they run into a castle, for example, you just quickly grab that 1 control group and click back. And then you can continue to micro while they dance in front, let's say, for example. There goes the treb. We got a castle here, and I think we're going to take down this castle. Looks like blue might be in a little bit of a paralysis here for his decisions. Does have food eco still, and more food eco than you. Let's see what the market looks like. I think we've been buying all of our food eco for Murderface. There's actually no market for either player, so 0 market gaming. What a messy game. And now we're going for ranges. Oh, I love this. Murderface is going to win. We've got food, or we've got gold and wood for days. This is going to be a really nice response, just going for our own Arbalest. And we just need to get those upgrades too. That's the only thing else missing. We could have had more upgrades for our Fire Lancers, which actually would trade better against the Arbs. And your opponent has full upgrades. So if you win this game, I'm kind of impressed still. It just shows how far you could climb if you just fix a couple of these things here. And maybe I'll try to summarize this once the game is actually over. But the vills are now having to run. There's no more onager there, which means these Arbalists can't do enough. And boy, what a scrappy game this has been. Starting to lose vills again for blue. And the Trebs are going to continue to take down everything. You can see the score is starting to climb more for Murderface because of the res value destroyed. And it is still so high for blue because of all the damage he did previously. He did a lot of clearing out of buildings here. But the vills here are gonna die. And these Arbs have to run. That infantry update has really given the infantry lines more power versus archer or range units, and especially fire lancers. They're just a really good unit. I imagine blue is probably upset at those fire lancers, doesn't know how to combat them. But what blue should do is just try to use those ranged units more effectively with a meat shield in front of them. We are relegating our opponent to this TC, and everything down here is all that's left. We should expand our eco at home. We know we're not being pushed, so something that Murderface could work on. 3,800 food in the bank. Everything here should just go onto food, and then you make new villagers to go onto wood. But I think we're past that point. We're going to see the game called here in a moment. And that might even be after we get some more Chukanu forward. What is Murderface researching here? He's got Thumb Ring. I think he should just go for some arbs, but 3 castles should be enough for producing 2. And I like this. All of the production is spread out, so we have some good control, or select all hotkey control. Great job using the stop command there. You prevented that castle from taking out your Treb. And I think we win this game from here. I feel bad I skipped earlier. I thought for sure Murderface was dead, but what an impressive victory. Pulling this one back. And I think the credit has to go with your tenacity to keep those vills alive. I guess I was pointing out the low worker efficiency, but workers are even less efficient if they're dead. So congratulations on that. You've done a good job actually still producing vills here and there. And we've got a lot of food float too. So we've kind of got the oyster for options. The world is our oyster. We can do what we want with it. We know about this eco down here, so I assume we're going to take our military there next. And these Chukanu can do a good job following the vills. But the score has flipped, and there's no military left for blue. He's actually going for a paladin upgrade for, let's count them, 9 paladin. I don't think that's going to do enough, especially with this many fire lanterns, nearly 30 on the field. And Chukanu behind too. And we're going to bring our Chukanu straight over to this TC, which is a great decision. The Fire Lancers should always just sit near the Trebs to protect from melee attack. And then you can move the Chukanu around to do damage around an eco too. Blue, I think you played a really great game, but in this moment, 105 is an appropriate response. You really did a good job. I understand not wanting to quit, but it's going to feel like you threw the game. It was just a better management of keeping his eco alive for Murderface. And it's not been a perfect game either. I think there certainly are mistakes that Murderface and Gentle Foam here are making together. It's a common thing around this elo that they'll make the same mistakes. And finally, the game ends there. No GG, but I'm sure Murderface gave it back. Well played. This was a very chaotic game. I didn't expect the result at all. Actually, if we look at the timeline, I thought Murderface was dead right here. He was stuck in this corner. He was going for an extra TC, and we just had military on our face. Plus, blue was booming behind all of this. Has really good eco balance, better eco balance than what Murderface has in this moment. But the continued rotation around the map that we can see there, red switching from the right to the left, blue taking over the right again, and then Murderface pushing in the north was all the difference maker. I think blue just needs better unit control. Maybe he can take out those fire lancers. But a well done job for Murderface there to get the victory. Let's take a look at these stats here. 194 fire lancers. Really good job with production on that. I think you can produce less of that and more archer, or at least you could go Chukanu or crossbow earlier, and it might speed up the victory here for Murderface. And I mentioned it probably 100 times this cast, so I'm sorry, but I'll mention it again. But watching that res balance is very critical. Actually, I think there's probably going to be a difference in food collected still, and so much wood collected. This is really the problem of that early game, of not having the army, which led to the base trade. And if blue was a better player, I don't know if Murderface can actually hold out. So these are good things to think about. Even if you win the game, how can I improve? How can I take my my gameplay to the next level to prevent this kind of base trade scenario? Yeah, very, very well done. Pretty similar APMs here. Actually, blue trending a little higher, which might be visible in some moments in the game. Maybe just more hotkeys available to them and set up. But that stuff can get improved over time. And the decision making can absolutely counter for any lack of APM too. So GG, well played to Murderface for getting that win. Another win in the bank for the buddies. If If you want your game casted like this, some tips, just some helpful guidance, not even just from me, but others in the group, check out the links below and join the Age Buddies. We're welcome to anyone who is a friendly and respectful player looking to have fun or learn, get better. 1v1s, team games, and community games. But yeah, well done, Murderface, and until the next time.